So welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're doing another seasonal championship. This one is called Cult Collection and we're going to be in D-Class Cult cars. So not particularly the most powerful of vehicles, certainly not in comparison to this brand new Ford Shelby GT500. As yeah, this has 760 horsepower and most cars that we get to choose from don't even have 60 horsepower. So yeah, going to be a little bit different to a lot of other championships that we've done on the series. It's not going to be anywhere near as quick or as particularly exciting, but it should be fun considering, you know, low-powered cars do generally have some of the best kind of races. So yeah, let's see what we're going to be choosing from. So one of these cars you actually do get to
My
win.
team should have updated your schedule for this summer championship. Have fun out there.
So yeah, the ultimate reward for this is the Toyota Corolla, which we'll see in a second. So yeah, we've got the Bar 595, the AMC Gremlin X, the Austin FX4 Taxi. We've got a couple of the, well, a few of the, you know, the little city cars, the BMW Isetta. Then we've got the Datsun 510, the Ford Anglia 105e, the Hillman Imp, the Honda S800, which has only recently been added to this game, so it's a nice addition to the cult car collection. Then the James Bond edition of the Citroen 2CV6, which had to be given more horsepower because the original version was too slow for the car chase in that film. Then the Mayor's Manx, the Morgan Freewheeler, a pair of Morrises, basically the same minor but with more weight and less, well actually, somehow I'm only just realised this, the Traveller is lighter than the Saloon version, which is weird considering the Traveller has more bodywork. But regardless, then we also got the Opel Kadett A to choose from. Two more of the little city cars which have no power whatsoever, the Reliance Supervan 3, the Corolla that you can win, which is one of the more powerful vehicles in this championship, and then we've got a brace of Volkswagens which have variably the same kind of power and the same kind of weight, with the Type 3 being the most powerful and definitely the quicker of the three. So yeah, I think we're going to get in the Honda to start with because it is the newest car added to the game here. And yeah, it's also pretty good as well. 70 horsepower, 48 pounds-feet of torque from an 800cc inline-4 motorbike engine, and it has only 1,565 pounds in weight, and bang on 50-50 weight distribution as well, and reasonable stats. But obviously, this is no, you know, modern-day Honda sports car. It's certainly no S2000, although that's where the S2000 name gets its name from. S800. Designating the amount of cubic capacity this has, same with the S2000. But yeah, this is minute as a sports car. This makes the British equivalents look even they look massive in comparison to this. But this does have a lot of personality on its side outside of the miniaturization of it. Obviously, it's got a really rather high revving engine, which would become a staple of Honda's sporty cars. And it handles reasonably well as well, so yeah. Let's see who's in front. It's like a Morris Traveller and two Morris Travellers in fact. How is the bubble car keeping up? Fair bit of understeer in this. Being Honda's first road car, this isn't, you know, the most well-tuned sports car ever. It does have some understeer and the suspension is rather soft, but I guess the soft suspension is atypical of the type. Actually, it's a Reliant that's up front as well as a Traveller, and typically in Reliant fashion it's rolling over, or at least trying to. Yeah, certainly not going to get up to sports car levels of speed in terms of modern sports cars, but yeah, this is fun. I really do like these kind of cars. I really do wish we had more of these vehicles because there are plenty out there to choose from car history. Look at that slide from the Honda there. And we've got a Mayor's Manx right up us. Talk about a varied top three. We've got an estate car which has double doors at the rear, and then a beach buggy behind us, and a Japanese classic sports car in the middle. Come on. Beat the wooden framed car. Yes, that is actually wood on that. It's not the fake kind of wood that you get on a lot of, well, you did get on a lot of American station wagons from the 60s and 70s. Real wood on that. purely because of rationing still after World War II. And yeah, wood was not in short supply, but metal certainly was. I'm surprised how much understeer this actually has, to be honest, considering that engine doesn't exactly weigh very much, being so small. Oh dear, the understeer is catastrophic in this. I have no idea why. Maybe the tyres are too skinny to deal with the speed I am giving it. But flaws in these kind of cars make them all the more fun. If they were perfect, but still had the same level of power and acceleration and speed, then it would be boring. But the fact that they are flawed in terms of handling and braking, and all the while being not particularly quick, just makes them all the more fun to drive. And yeah, I like reviewing and driving cars that aren't perfect, because cars that aren't perfect reflect, you know, human personalities, human traits, and that makes them more relatable and more enjoyable to look at and get interested in. So that's why I wish we had more flawed cars, because even though, like, say, I think it was Forza Motorsport 6 it was, where we had the Pontiac Aztec, dreadful car, but I wouldn't for one moment say not to have that car in a game, because it's an interesting vehicle, even if it is absolutely appalling in so many ways. But that game, I think it was Forza Motorsport 6, was made all the better because it had such a dreadful car in it. And yeah, that's why I enjoyed reviewing it so much. Sure, I was slating the hell out of it, but I was enjoying doing that at the same time, and certainly enjoyed driving it just to try and work out why it became so bad as it was. But regardless, there we go, a solid win to start with the Honda S800, a good more than a second ahead of the Traveller, and Mayor's Manx VW Type 2 Forza Edition and the Bar 595 were far behind. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get on to the second race. So the S800 did us really rather well there, despite the handling being a little bit atrocious, in particular the understeer. So yeah, what should we pick next? Oh, the Hillman is a bit tempting, to be honest. The Mayor's Manx is as well, because that's actually fairly decent. It's even less in terms of weight than the Honda, and has more torque, but slightly less in terms of power. The Freewheeler is probably the quickest at the top end, but I wouldn't really call that a cult car, to be honest. Cadet A is tempting as well. I do really rather like that car. It looks pretty much like a mini muscle car, but with no way near the amount of power. The angle here is not that great. I think we'll go for the Mayor's Manx. It's got plenty of power, more torque than the Honda, and yeah, less in the way of weight as well. And if we come into any off-road elements, we should be able to deal with it as well, because it's made for going in off-roading on beaches and the like, which I know aren't the toughest of elements, but certainly more so than any sports car. And yeah, it's basically based off the Beetle alongside us on the underneath. This has got a lot more bodywork and a bit more in the way of power and torque. Also, predictably, it doesn't have much in the way of speed either, because, like I said, this was meant as more of a toy than an actual car. Although, obviously, it does have the necessary elements to be required for being driven on the road, but that's if it ever did get driven on the road, which I very much doubt. Getting beaten by a P50 and an Austin taxi. This shouldn't be happening. It's not happening anymore, hopefully. Oh, and I thought this would be quicker. You can tell this is based off of VW just by how the wheels are moving around and the suspension is, because yeah, they have very basic suspension on these. I did not realise how lacking the top speed was on these, to be honest. Come on. I figured the Reliant would break there because it's not going to want to risk falling over. Take full advantage of that. At least we are now on off-road elements, so we'll see. This is where this car is a bit more at home. Come on, we can beat the boring Datsun. Basically what everybody as a kid would draw a basic car as, just a box, two ends and a square in the middle. But it is beating us because it has more power, no doubt better top speed. Struggling to get even to 85 miles an hour. Still got a long way to go though, and looks like more off-road elements after this road bit, but we're struggling to get up this road. Come on. Yeah, I shouldn't really have braked there. I think we might need to be in manual more than anything though with these cars. Come on. Yeah, definitely need to be in manual if you're going to be doing this championship, because yeah, these cars require you to work the engine as much as possible with the gearbox. Obviously I am not doing that in this. Let's change the settings. And we can't. God damn it. We're being beaten by everything just because of hills. At least get back in the top 5. See if we can overtake everything. Yes we can, because they do not have the grip on the off-road, and that Reliant certainly doesn't have the cornering capabilities. Get back into second at least, don't care about the Datsun. Come on. Ooh, the Reliant went dead stop in the water there. That's fine by me. Water is not kind to those cars behind us that do not even have half of the power that we do. There's me thinking I struggled. Well, we're not going to beat the boring Datsun, but second will do. I just figured this car was a little bit more sharpish in terms of acceleration and top speed, but clearly not. Yeah, it's got some speed at the end there, but certainly not enough throughout the race there to make up for for getting to first place. But yeah, still second is pretty good, and that gives us 16 points. Putting us still 2 points ahead of the Datsun, 6 points ahead of the Reliant, 14 points ahead of the Abarth, and 16 points ahead of another Reliant. So yeah, it's going to be the Datsun 510 to look out for in the next race. But unless, let's get there and see what happens. So the Manx only got a second place, but clearly that was still enough to keep us first overall in the championship. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for the Opel Kadett A. I know it's not particularly quick, but it's got a reasonable amount of horsepower and torque, and doesn't weigh all that much, and yeah, should hopefully be fun to drive. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that it can do as good as it can. But yeah, you can really tell that this does look like a muscle car from the 60s. To slightly hopefully improve our chances, let's one of the few times ever go into manual gearbox. I generally don't, just because when dealing with fast cars it's difficult to commentate and, you know, concentrate on gears and driving and everything else. But because we're obviously in slower cars, speed really isn't going to be much of an issue here. Yeah, I do love this little thing. I know a lot of people complained when this was put into the game via the car pass, because You know, it's not a quick car or anything like that, but it's fun. I like these cars, and it's interesting as well, just because it, in essence, looks like a little muscle car. Sadly, you can't put a small block Chevy V8 in it or anything, but it would be fun if you could. Keep it in a high gear to keep the speed up for the water. Lower gear, whichever way you want to say it. Depends on your perspective, really, doesn't it? Yeah, I wouldn't have ever got in the Anglia just because it's got even less power than this. This is hardly troubling the top speed, or any records for that matter. Quite frankly, for a 1 litre engine from the 60s, it's still fairly sharpish. You have to remember the top speed was only limit, top speed limit in the UK was only 70, so it's going to do well more than that, and handle and brake and be practical all at the same time, whereas the Anglia was not a good car, even if it could do 70 miles an hour in terms of braking or handling. There's an old video of Jeremy Clarkson on an old Top Gear episode where he stopped a Ford Anglia from 70 miles an hour, and it looked absolutely terrifying. So yeah, I'd rather be in this than one of them any day of the week. Well, we are getting beaten by Citroen. I imagine it's the James Bond version. We only do have the James Bond version, to be honest. But regardless, the James Bond version, like I said, was made more powerful because the original is so slow. And it wasn't capable of keeping up with the faster cars on the chase scene in the film For Your Eyes Only. So they had to bump up the power a fair old bit, which is reasonable. And I do like the fact we actually have that version in the game, because they could have easily just thrown in the standard version and said, there we go, that's the James Bond version. But clearly wouldn't have been. We have better handling than the Citroen, even if that does have the more advanced and softer suspension. It's definitely more for comfort than racing. Then again, this is understeering like a pig for some reason. Oh dear, wrong gear. Accidentally went up to third rather than down to first. But we're gaining on the Anglia at least. Come on, hopefully. Come on. God, this is tense. Come on. Gain. Now the Citroen to retake retake the position. Oh, the Citroen was made for going across fields and the like, and not being able to keeping a bag of eggs intact on the passenger seat. So this is where it's probably going to be a little bit better than we are. Final spurt of speed, we're doing more than 80 miles an hour. Come on, 90. Yes, yes. God, that was close. See what I mean? Slow cars like this can be fun to race, because the margins of error are so low and everything is pretty much the same kind of power and weight. It's just so much more fun to be racing around in. So there we go. 56 points for the final score for us, 42 for the Morris Minor, 38 for the Citroen, 35 for the PLP50, 30 for one of the Ford Anglia. So yeah, there we go. Slow cars can be fun, and you do get a Toyota Corolla if you've not already got it. for your efforts. So yeah, it's a really fun championship. I really do like these. I know some people don't because they don't like anything that's slow, but slow can be fun, and this is proof of that. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.